obviously a bit disappointed with the outcome of our game on Sunday. I think going in, we're definitely fired up for the rematch with Purdue, knowing how the first matchup went and that we didn't have Sarah and Ronnie at full strength. But I think, over the course of the game, we didn't do a great job executing against their zone or their press. We turned the ball over too many times. And, looking back at the film, just definitely some adjustments that it could have been made in game. But we have to turn the page now. And as Meg said, we've got 2 final games of the regular season, one here on the road and one at home. Both games, we've not played these opponents yet this season, so that'll be a great opportunity for us, and going in to try to take care of business, finish strong.
I guess to start off with, this week what you'll have, it's not, we'll say Sunday will be senior day, but I guess I want to kind of get your thoughts on your seniors, Brooke and Natalie, and, you've kind of had the, they've been with you for, since you got here. But can you just talk about each, what kind of stands out to you about just what you've seen from them, since you've gotten here?
Yeah, I feel really fortunate to have inherited this group of seniors. When I arrived here, they didn't know me, I didn't know them, and to see both of their progress as players, but more importantly as people, has been really awesome to be a part of that development, and to really kind of be on the outside looking in at that as well. I think if I take Brooke first, she's been kind of an integral part of our build, and been on the floor a ton of minutes since arrived here. Came out of high school as a guard, but has adapted and became a post for us, and has kind of embraced that role, and is a high energy kid, life of the team, and people are just attracted to her, and that, and it's a contagious energy, and so that's been wonderful to see. And then there was just an article or a video put out about team impact, and Emma, one of our teammates, and Brooke has really taken a great lead in that. So to kind of just see her development on the court and off the court has been great. And then obviously with Nat, coming in, she was a walk-on when I arrived here, and for her to have earned a scholarship throughout her time here, and just the type of glue kid that she's become for this team, especially this year. The work that she's put in, her willingness and ability to do whatever our team needs to try to compete to win, and being a hometown kid has really been awesome to see, again, her growth, and even as a communicator, and kind of opening up and trusting the people that are around her, that's really been awesome to see as well. And phenomenal student, posted a 4.0 last semester, and so I think couldn't be more proud of the 2 seniors that we have, and really grateful for the chance to coach them.
Yeah. And these days, anytime you talk about seniors, you got to talk about, the COVID year. I think we still got another year or so with that.
Just 1 year.
Just
one more year.
But, I got a question on that, but I'll save it.
Okay.
But in terms of, I guess I'm just wondering, I don't know, how can you talk about the process of, one, I don't know if if either of those 2 take advantage of that, or do you think they'll be back? How do you kind of go about the process of deciding if a player wants to come back, hey, is there room for that player to return?
Yeah, all those conversations are kind of, this, as you mentioned, it's not new, but it's new for those players each year that you go there, and roster management and kind of the way that we as head coaches now have to kind of juggle all of that is really delicate. And so I can't say to, at this moment, yes, they're coming back. No, they're not coming back. There's just conversations that you have, and then you also have to see, obviously, here in 2.5 weeks, the portal opens, and so that's a whole other kind of component of it. And so, it's a really kind of fluid thing, which from my seat is not an awesome place to be exactly, but it is kind of where things are right now. And I just want to be able to focus on finishing out this season strong, and then we'll kind of figure out what the future holds for the program and the roster.
Is it hard trying to kind of manage that, like looking ahead to, like you said, the portal opens? What's it like, kind of walking that tightrope of having to recruit new players to come in, but also having to recruit your players to stay with that potential? Is it hard to kind of keep the blinders on and just kind of stay centered?
I don't know that it's hard in the sense of like with the current kids. You just, we have a goal in mind, and they understand kind of the path that we're on for this year. But I think that it's human nature to kind of, you're trying to prep, and our job as coaches is always kind of looking 2 and 3 years down the road. So you are doing a delicate dance there. So yes, that's a challenge, but anybody that's in my chair right now is doing that. And so I think we're all trying to figure it out the best that we can, and make the best decisions you can to try to make your program as successful as possible.
So I'm Steve McGargy from the Associated Press. I don't think we've ever formally met. As part of a project, we're just asking coaches from around the Big Ten just about the challenges involved in trying to guard Caitlyn Clark. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, when you see teams that have held her relatively in check, at least by her standards, what's generally worked from what you can tell? And is there anything to the theory of just letting her get hers and trying to stop everybody else on that team?
I think, the first game, we can kind of say we relatively kept her in check. I think she had 28 the first time we played her, but she's gone off for 40 and plus in games. But I think, she's a phenomenal player, obviously, and you have to try to limit one of the things that she wants to do. And so she loves to go left on her step back 3. And so if you try to force her right and kind of get up into her and be physical and make her put the ball on the floor and go downhill, that was kind of our approach. As far as kind of the theory of letting her get hers, she's such a phenomenal passer that I don't know with her that's, if she was a one-track mind player where it was just like all about scoring, but with the way that she passes the ball and uses her teammates, I think that that's one of those things that I don't know that many people have tried that, because I think she kind of hurts you in a lot of different ways.
I'm sorry, are there any parallels that you see that opponents were having to deal with during your UConn years when they were trying to stop, whether it be Brianna or whoever was the top player during those years?
Yeah, I think, Stewie goes down. I didn't coach her, but Diana Taurasi, I think sometimes we forget about how great some of those players were, and just the way that the media is now versus then. But, Maya Moore, they were really difficult to contain, and I think there was other really good players around them too, so there wasn't a situation where you could just key in on one person, and that's nothing, against the players at Iowa right now, but I think the caliber of player that was at Connecticut at that time, if you talk about the teams with Stewie, and you had Katie Lou, and you had Morgan Tuck, and you had Mariah Jefferson, there was at every position you had to kind of key in Gabby Williams. So I think it's a little bit different, but yeah, I think the impact that she's had, those young women also had, and I think it's really great for the game in general.
Thanks.
You mentioned that this stretch right now, it's the last 2 games of the year against 2 teams you haven't faced before. Mm-hmm. Does that kind of blank slate help things, or is there kind of not having a previous result to try to either improve upon or hold serve? Does it kind of lend itself to, we know them off tape, but we don't have anything where we got exposed or we exposed them previously? Does that kind of help these last 2 games, kind of going in with a blank slate, so to speak?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think on one hand, you don't know exactly what they do. You can, like you said, you can see it on film, but the actual pace of play, you can look at stats, you can look at film, but what each team is trying to accomplish, and then conversely, like them having to try to defend us. And both of these teams don't have a traditional post. They play more five guards type of thing. So that'll be interesting from a defensive standpoint, matching up with Sarah versus, defending. And so, I think it's maybe a good thing in that you are just getting, the one Kraken on any given night. Anyone can beat anyone. And sometimes if you have that previous experience, then it's like, okay, this did work, or we can try to do this. But sometimes if you only get one opportunity, if you want to be able to make adjustments, it's hard to maybe do that right in the flow of the game and without the film to study.
Just curious, was there a moment in maybe this past off season or when you went overseas that you knew that Ronnie would make the jump from her freshman to sophomore year, and seems like she's played pretty consistent throughout?
I think in Italy, she, we were able to like really get up and down the floor quite a bit with our transition, and her ability to also kind of look to score. The rebounding piece I didn't expect, and that's been a pleasant surprise. But it's really been, I think, impressive for, to your point, kind of from a minute standpoint and production and consistency standpoint, what she's been able to do in just the 1 year. And so I think, it's now being able to build upon that, because I think there are even more things that she's capable of learning and growing, especially kind of in being a floor general for us. But it's been awesome to see that development. But no, I didn't have like this, oh yeah, that's okay, this is coming. I mean, I had some premonitions, but that wasn't one of them.
Oh, one other thing on Brooke. In terms of, you look at the minutes she's played. She's been a heavy minute person for you, and I guess I'm just wondering, can you speak to the value of that? As you've kind of gone through these first, 2+ seasons now of just having someone that you can rely on a game-to-game basis to be there and give you minutes when you gotta, maybe some other uncertainty on different spots.
Yeah, I think that's like last year, if she ever got in foul trouble, I would always like go to her and be like, this is why you can't foul. We're not as good with you on the bench, She is that kind of big of a piece. And even if it's not the scoring piece, it's her passing or it's her ability to, defend multiple positions, her talking on the floor, and just the overall familiarity and understanding of what we're trying to do over these past 2.5 years. And so, I think that's an invaluable piece that will definitely, you miss, when you have seniors like that. And, obviously not tipping my hat if she chooses to come back, but having people who are older in those positions, I can't say enough. That's really, really priceless.